One evening, whilst watching television, I saw something to the right, in my peripheral vision, on the mantel above the fireplace, which I dismissed as eye problems due to watching too much TV and or perhaps working too late at night on my computer. 1 minute, a blue circle of light was there, and then the next it was gone, especially when I tried to look at it directly. Anyway, I continued watching TV and really did not pay it any mind, as I was more interested in Sex in the City and was not going to be pulled away from that. But in the break, I decided to get myself another obligatory drink, a beautiful glass of red wine, which always accompanies the show as far as I'm concerned. I had only just sat back down and covered myself with the blanket when the blue circle of light reappeared, but this time above the doorway frame to the dining room. Again, it was in my peripheral vision to the right, and once I tried to look at it directly, I could not see a thing. Now, not being concerned, I continued watching my weekly fix with sheer delight of Samantha's sexual acrobatics and wondered to myself which of the characters I was most like. Anyway, 10:30 p.m. came around pretty quickly, and I had an early start in the morning, so I headed off to bed. I made my way down the hallway to the bathroom after brushing my teeth. I turned around and was faced with the blue ball of light again, but this time not in my peripheral vision, but clearly directly floating 4 feet in front of me at eye level. Now, I am 5'8" and not easily scared, but this startled me to the point where I stepped back and I bumped into the sink, knocking my hair straightener onto the floor, which made me look back slightly to see if it was broken. But when I spun back around and looked at the doorway, the big blue circle of light was gone. So I was really quite shaken, and being a spiritual person, but not religious, I decided to say out aloud, "If that is you, Dad, prove it." Reason being, my father had passed away only 2 months earlier in England, and I didn't have a chance to go to England for the funeral, basically because I didn't have the money. I headed to my room with great trepidation, with the thought of meeting this orb again before the night's end. It took me over an hour to fall asleep, but in that period, it was pretty uneventful, and I kept the light on in my room, which is not my usual practice, but it did help to ease my anxiety. I had forgotten, or I should say, I put the incident out of my mind some 3 days later, as I was on the couch again in front of the TV watching some mindless reality show. I had 3 hours to kill before being picked up to be taken to dinner at a prestigious restaurant named Sydney Cafe, one of my favourite restaurants at the Rocks on Sydney Harbour. I was woken from what felt like a very deep sleep, with a feeling of a presence in the room. I was struggling to focus my eyes on the TV, which was slightly obscured by the blanket across my face. So I pulled the blanket away to refocus my eyes, but then had the feeling to look over my left shoulder, and what came into sharp focus was the blue ball of light, half the size of a soccer ball, perched on the couch next to my left shoulder, as though watching the TV and keeping me company, like a damn cat. I was laying on my right side, and in the shock of seeing the orb, my instant reaction, albeit ungainly, I rolled off the couch onto the floor, being tangled up in the blanket and feeling like a bit of a beached whale. By the time I unravelled myself, I looked back and it was gone. But that did not stop me from shaking with fear. I got up and I ran to my bedroom, madly looking for my mobile phone to call my friend Nicky to see if she would come and pick me up any earlier. When Nicky arrived home to my place, some 40 minutes later, I was waiting downstairs in the lobby with my bags packed for more than a few nights' stay with my friend of 20 years. I knew she would understand my absolute terror, as she had spoken to me about Orbs before, some time ago, which, of course, I had scoffed at, but which had now wiped the smile clean off my face.